So my buddies at T-Bolt sent me a couple of exhaust systems to try out, one being the TRC quiet exhaust system, and I thought what better platform to try out and put that name to the test than my very noisy Honda CT190. So I figure I'll just use a decibel meter and compare these two exhaust systems both at idle and wide open throttle or near wide open throttle. I'll also compare it to the over racing exhaust system that I've got on the bike right now, and also just get a sense of what the general sound is for these three exhausts, so stick around. Alright, so I'll try it at idle first and see what type of sound we're getting, and then I'll throw some revs in. The engine's kind of cold, so I'm not going to pull it too hard, but hard enough that we should get a good reading. Maxing out at 120 decibels. So I also didn't want to get everything too hot because otherwise it'd be a while before I can pull the exhaust off. Let it cool down for just a second and we'll throw on the next exhaust. Alright, so this is the Type 1 full exhaust system made by TBParts. I think they also have a Type 2 or something similar that has a carbon fiber outer shell, but I think for this bike, actually if I was going to live on this bike, the carbon fiber would look really nice. I have a feeling I'm going to end up putting this one on the 1974 CT70, where the chrome and aluminum finish is going to look really good. So this setup is about the same distance. Let's fire it up, see what type of sound we're getting from this system at idle, and then we'll throw out some revs and see what it maxes out at. My neighbors must hate me. So I think at idle, it looked like it was about the same at 95 decibels. I'll have to go back as I'm editing the video to see exactly what the comparison is, and I'll put them all side by side. But at 119 decibels, when I was throwing at the revs, I think that was only a decibel or two lower than the over racing exhaust. I like the sound of this. It's a little more raspy. It sounds a little meaner than the over racing exhaust that usually sits on this bike. But anyway, let me pop this one off now and put on the quiet exhaust and see how much difference it is both at idle and with some throttle. Alright, and finally I have the TRC quiet system on. I did make a slight modification to this pipe. I cut about 2 inches off of the overall header to make it fit properly on this bike. But I think it actually looks really good. It's nice and sleek, and for the 1974 bike, I'm not sure if I'm going to be riding this exhaust or the Type 1 exhaust that we just tested. But I am curious about how much more quiet it is, because bikes like this that make tons of noise, I live in a pretty quiet neighborhood, and I'm not joking when I said I'm probably hated by a lot of my neighbors, but maybe this is considerably quieter. On an engine this big, I'm doubting it's going to be that much quieter, but let's take a look. So that actually did sound considerably quieter. I know on the meter it showed only 6 decibels difference. I'll do the math down here on exactly what that means, because I know decibel are on some type of exponential scale. So we'll figure out exactly how much 6 decibels means. But I actually like the sound of it too, because it was relatively quiet at idle. I think again on the meter it was showing a few decibels quieter, but at revs it had a pretty good tone. So it'll be a tough choice between this one and the TBParts Type 1 exhaust, figuring out which one ends up on the 74. And actually, now that I think about it, I've got the tank in the 74 CT70. I might as well throw that up here on the lift, and between these two exhaust systems, see what they sound like and compare their numbers as well. Alright, so I've got the quiet exhaust now on the 74 CT70. I think it looks really good. It has a pretty classic look, especially with the heat shield. So I've got the decibel meter at the same 2-foot distance. Let's see what this one sounds like both at idle and also throwing in some revs. Since this doesn't have push to start, I'm going to hit the drill on the other side and spin it up, because I don't want to stand on the lift trying to kick this. That would probably end up making for a good bloopers reel if I tried. So let me get this started and we'll see what it sounds like. Alright, so I just realized actually that I have the engine cover on this side and I don't want to take it off, so I'm just going to lower it and try kickstarting it instead. Hopefully it doesn't fall over. Okay, that was considerably quieter, but again, this engine is almost 3 times smaller than the one we were just testing it out on. So let me throw on the other exhaust from TBParts and we'll see what type of decibels that one's putting out. Okay, so now I have installed the TBParts Type 1 exhaust. I think this looks really good on this bike. I actually had this on another bike at one point, and my buddy Manny, who I'm going to do a video on his build here in a little bit, he has that on his bike currently. He's actually switching to a little wilder exhaust, but I think this one may end up living on the bike because again, it's nice shiny chrome, looks really clean and fits really well. So this is the last one up. Let's see what type of noise this one makes. I don't know if I can just start it by hand. Look at that. Alright, so that maxed out at 107, which I guess was quieter than the quiet exhaust on the CT190. Still relatively quiet. I'm also planning on doing the big bore kit. T-Bolt USA has that in the mail for me right now, so I think this performance exhaust will probably match pretty well once I have that hooked up, and I'm sure it'll pick up a little bit more sound, but I really like the way that this particular one sounds on this bike. Again, I like that quiet exhaust because, to my comment about my neighbors hating me, I may actually put that on the CT190 when I'm cruising around so that I get a little less dirty stares. So again, thank you T-Bolt USA for sending me these exhausts to try out. Thanks all of you for watching. Sorry to all my neighbors. Stay tuned for more videos and keep on building.